Did I just say a lot by saying nothing at all? That is the effect that is about to unfold for this full moon in Capricorn that we have upcoming on the 29th of June. Today, I have actually quite a lot that came through, like quite a lot of downloads to share with you when it comes to this celestial architecture that unfolds within the heavens. I'm seeing the heavenly bodies and the planetary positions. I'm seeing the coordinates within this universe that they are seated within as this energetic influence unfolds and translates into our physical, tangible experiences. That's what I get from this. It's the opposition between the full moon in Capricorn and the sun in Cancer. Now, what this full moon is designed to do is bring to light or illuminate the growth that has been happening within the invisible realms, the growth that has been happening behind the scenes. And this is a time where you really get to see this come to fruition. Spirit was calling me to drop this message early, to share this message early, so it could be something that you're being called to prep for. Now, I'm going to tell you the message that came through, right? Because full moons it's a time of release, it's a time of culmination, it's a time of things being illuminated, and it usually allows us to see some type of harvest unfold in our life. This is a celestial unfoldment that will take place within the heavens that then translates into our physical, tangible experiences. What are full moons? They are the bringers of a culmination point. I'm hearing energy that has been accumulating throughout the last 6 months from the new moon that we had in January of this year. Something was seeded within you, something was seeded within your experience, you had seeded something in the physical material realm, and this is a time where you get to see that come to fruition and perhaps even be released out into the world. But I'm seeing something being illuminated. The full moon is the bringer of, I'm seeing the sun's light. It's a standoff in this opposition between the sun in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn. It's one of the oldest celestial, I'm seeing it as like stand-offs, but more of like a celestial dance where these magnetic forces are working. I'm hearing they're working off each other's energy. So I'm seeing it as, how do I explain it? It's like being underneath the water in a pool, and then you kick up off of the wall. It's walking in the physical realm, yet your feet push up off the ground, and you recognize that it's the physical realm that actually assists in the spirit's evolution. Does this make sense? It's like the physical ground is actually supporting you in being able to walk amongst this construct, embracing both your divine nature and your human nature. So there's some type of merging. The message that I had for it was something that was developing beneath the surface is now going to reveal itself to you in your experience. We're going to dive deep into what this Capricorn full moon has in store. The message that I got from it was, it's very much like a 10 of Pentacles moment. Now, the 10 of Pentacles in this card, I'll go ahead and read it before we continue. It represents the roots and the legacy. It's the inner world and the outer world, and it's the unseen realms that finally become visible in your experience. If you think about Capricorn, Capricorn is like the soul's public persona on the world stage. If we're speaking about 10th house kind of aspects, it's the legacy, it's the work that we do, the things that we achieve that go on to touch many. That's often what our legacy is. And it's the responsibility. It's our reputation, it's the leadership qualities. I'm hearing it's noble qualities that you've cultivated within yourself, and it could be public recognition. But Capricorn isn't just about achievement, it's about what actually remains standing decades after. I'm hearing the physical vessel expires and the soul departs. What does the essence of the soul create in the tangible realm? And how does that essence continue to live on long after you're gone? That's what a 10 of Pentacles is. That's what a legacy card is. So in this deck, it essentially talks about fulfillment and dreams coming true. So this could be something that you're going to see take place during this time. Let me read it real quick. The full moon. Okay, I didn't even know that this was a full moon card, so this is actually really exciting. Oh my god, because I channeled the Ten of Pentacles. Anyway, we're gonna get into it. The full moon in the night sky is illuminating the tree that has taken over the jeweled tower. Complete fusion between the rapidly growing trees and the tower has created a hybrid of beauty. So I'm seeing hybrid as your human nature and your divine nature. The jaw tower is supporting the colossal tree, and the tree is offering shade from the harshness of the day. While we find ourselves back in the desert, we now have the foundation and determination to overcome adversity, knowing that hardships can be made easier by working together. Through the suit of the tree, we witness mankind working to coexist with nature. The Jewel Tower is a card that speaks to the fulfillment of dreams. When it shows up, it's a sign that this true joy is sitting there ready for you to grab it. This can be a greater feeling than any material possession could bring you. This is a time to rejoice and enjoy the simplicity of simply feeling fulfilled. This is about you becoming the architect, right? You are the stone mason. You are that person that's been laying these foundations that you may never even personally see completed. If we think about the architect as someone that kind of draws the design and says, this is the direction that I want to take things, yet they may never actually get to stand in the completed architecture or the completed culmination of that cathedral. They may never get to hear their voice echo and reverberate off of the walls. They may never get to hear or experience that acoustic sensory experience in this realm within this lifetime, but it feels like a place or location that you come back to through, like, parallel incarnations. There's something, does this make sense? It's like you return to something that you had built and you kind of pick up where you left off. It's like you get to experience something that you had, I don't know, grown or nurtured. It's the shade of a tree that you never got to sit under the shade of within that lifetime. It's something that you had seeded, like Ace of Pentacles, right? Within a past lifetime, but then you come back within this lifetime and you finally get to sit under the shade of it. Or there's something that you're planting and you may not see the effects that will take tomorrow, but you may be able to experience the effect that takes for generations to come. So there's something to do with legacy type of vibes. And the greatest acts of creation aren't built for the architect themselves. The greatest acts of creation often outlive that moment within space-time. And so I'm hearing there's some type of force of creation. They're showing it to me as like the Magician's card. So it could have been like an alchemical process that you went through, because Cancerian energy has these deep emotional, intuitive tides and depth to them. It's the translator of the non-physical and the physical realms. And then Capricorn is able to kind of execute that and bring that vision into form. So there's something that you could be anchoring. There could be something that you're grounding. It definitely gives me strong conduit energies. It's something that continues nourishing life or other beings that come into alignment with what it is that we've created long after we've gone. This is literally reminding us that every single cathedral requires that foundation. We cannot build the walls or the roof or the anything within it if it doesn't have that foundation. The tree cannot grow just from its branches. It has to have roots that are able to sustain it. So I'm hearing so that life can continue flourishing, and there's something around your soul being able to continuously flourish as you anchor back into what exists beneath the ground, something that has been invisible, hidden from view, that has been guiding you. So that's what this gives me, right? Just as much as your inner work that has occurred beneath the surface of visible reality, like your values, your integrity, maybe your emotional maturity, or the relationship that you've cultivated with yourself, that willingness to remain grounded even when life has become uncertain, is something that you're seeing the result of right now. It is understanding that every relationship we have, whether that's to people, things, locations, outcomes, is always a reflection of the relationship that we have to ourselves. And I see that being illuminated. And those hidden or unseen aspects that lie within every single one of us determine what will ultimately be sustained within the material realm, right? How that's going to translate, how that frequency will translate into the quality of an experience. So under this full moon, we're quite literally being called to observe both. We're being called to observe the tangible, physical, material things that we're creating, but then the invisible structures internally that are supporting what it is that we're building in the realm around us. And I'm seeing that as the branches. It's an extension of you that then goes out as this like network and is able to sustain and nourish life itself. It's so interesting because Capricorn is the legacy that we are building can only sustain itself based upon the quality of the roots. And I feel like we're beginning to see that right now. We're beginning to see the effect of our conscious or unconscious cause. Have we been consciously nourishing our own soul's essence and being present within the act of watering the tree, right? In the act of grounding ourselves within our own being, so that naturally whatever has been seeking to move through us and emerge into the world is an expression of that. It definitely reminds me of the quantum entanglement reading that I did, so I'll go ahead and find it and link it below. But I was essentially talking about how everything you create in this realm ends up becoming an extension of you. And so if you're thriving, you're healthy, you are liberated, free, detached, magnetic, and fluid as you move through this system, everything that you create is something that you're entangled with. So that business is going to be thriving, that whatever it is that you make is going to be thriving. It's going to reflect your internal state of being. But then reality also reconfigures itself to correspond to whatever your internal state is. So if you're in survival and you're rigid and you're clinging and attached in this process, then there's also this restriction that you'll see transpire into, I'm seeing these other realities that you create in the world around you. And so in many ways, I feel that this full moon at Capricorn is asking for all of us to examine our own roots. And that could be the relationship between what we're seeing harvest, or maybe the fruits of our labor are not as juicy, right? It's like maybe we feel like the juice hasn't been worth the squeeze, and it's because we've been nurturing something that just isn't in alignment with what truly brings our soul liberation within expression itself, something that just hasn't been emotionally fulfilling. I do feel like it's a remembrance that our inner foundation is inseparable from the outer harvestation that takes place. And so the quality of that harvest is going to be a direct reflection of what our inner state has been. It's such an interesting polarity to work with, because even if we're talking about like 4th house, 10th house aspects, that is the relationship between your inner foundation then being translated into the outward things that you build, right? When it comes to this outward manifestation. So what we end up seeing on the world stage and how somebody presents themselves is often a direct reflection of the work that has happened behind the scenes, the work that you did when no one was watching. That is kind of what I'm seeing translate into your character, translate into your creations, and that being a direct reflection of it. So in order to deeply understand what this is, let's backtrack towards the new moon in Capricorn that occurred in January. This was on the 18th. So every new moon to full moon cycle is a 6-month period that eventually reaches a point of visibility under the corresponding full moon. That new moon occurred at 28 degrees, which becomes 29 degrees in degree theory, and degrees are associated with mastery, completion, and standing at the threshold of an entirely new chapter. And many of us were planting seeds connected to our purpose, responsibility, leadership, career, ambition, and our legacy. And so 6 months later, we're now arriving at this point of culmination. It's a moment where we can step back and observe what has taken root, what's matured, what has endured. This does feel like a very transformative full moon. And the thing that I find most fascinating about it, and what I wanted to share, is this full moon sits at 8 degrees. This is a Scorpio degree. So that is literally about death and rebirth. It's to do with topics of transformation. And because full moons are about releasing, what I see happening is many of us are beginning to find that during this period, what will be illuminated to us, especially upcoming. This could be something that you're already feeling, the fact that I've been called to release this message earlier into the quantum field. Something must be released before something new can emerge. And that something new is going to be far more aligned than what it is that we've previously invested our life force into. This is what it is. It feels like you are now being called to redirect your life force towards things that do feel more aligned. And we're being shown, and really there are things that are being revealed within us, within our own emotional landscape, around what doesn't feel aligned for us during this time. And that awareness is where our power lies, because that awareness is illuminating information and we get to choose what we want to do with that information. This is where we create the gap between timelines. It feels like you may be sitting at a liminal space leading up to this full moon, where I'm hearing it's a time for pivotal change, pivotal action, not reaction, but just intentionally responding to what is and what isn't. It really is that simple. So depending on where it's aspecting you, this could be something that you're going to feel being I don't know if exalted is the right word, but yeah, something is going to be, exaltations are quite beneficial. I'm hearing it's beneficial luminaries. So ultimately it's something that will be illuminated that is extremely supportive and in benefit for the soul's evolution. It may be requiring you to evolve beyond certain ways of being. It kind of reminds me of the version of you that created the pattern or planted the seed is not the same version of you that is observing the pattern or observing the one that had planted the seed. And I'm hearing it was never about the seed. It could be about the environment that the seed was planted in. And that could be your relationship to this area of your life. So yeah, ultimately it can bring endings. It can also bring about profound revelations. That could be something that you're going to see illuminated at this period. And there could be situations that are going to require for you to literally let go of something. That something may be an identity. It could be what was previously driving you, and perhaps even long-term plans that you had made, and now you're seeing that those plans need to be recalibrated, they need to kind of shift. And that is the nature of transformation itself. And Capricorn energy is ruled by Saturn, and so it's never about quick wins. Saturn is the taskmaster. He always gives us what it is that we want, but it requires for us to work with the laws of time, which means change that happens throughout space-time, a certain amount of cause or effort that we put in, right? Action that leads to an effect or reaction in our outward reality. And so that's what we're going to see basically take place. It's the karma, it's the rewards of our efforts, or we're seeing the effect of our lack of efforts, or maybe where we've been investing into something that doesn't feel super aligned, and so it doesn't feel really fulfilling. Maybe you got something that you think that you wanted, but it's not giving you the I don't know, reward or excitement that you thought that it would on a soul level. It's always about the long game with Capricorn. So it's you building something that literally lasts the test of time, something that will continue to thrive in the material realm, something that will continue to have impact within this third dimensional realm, again, long after you're gone. So let me go ahead and read to you the Sabian symbol. This is going to give us more insight into the visual depiction of the archetypal essence that is going to be bleeding through and translating into this experience. What fascinates me most about this Sabian symbol is that it's very esoteric in the nature that it kind of describes that it's not about the structure itself, it's more about the consciousness that's building it. It's not about what it is that we're even building in the material realm, but it's what is attempting to build it through us as a conduit. So it's very much that deeper, higher intelligence that we're being asked to trust in. Okay, this is 9 degrees of Capricorn. It's an angel carrying a harp. The keyword is attunement, and the theme is all about inspiration. The symbol speaks to the cosmic symphony behind all manifestation and the fact that the truly inspired individual recognizes no limitations. The image of an angel carrying a harp suggests a sympathetic attunement to the spiritual source, a purity of the heart, and a natural inclination to seek the highest good in any situation. On a practical level, this image alludes to divine protection, charmed life, and the ability to maintain a positive and optimistic attitude even in the most trying situations. At its highest, it represents joy and self fulfillment through inspiring others to achieve their hopes and dreams. Watch for self deception, delusions of power, and omnipotence. I'm hearing omnipotence. If you think about omnipotence, omnipotence is almost feeling like you're devoid of a higher power in many ways because it's like omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. Hmm. I'm hearing lack of self-responsibility. Someone needs to hear that. We're going to use that as a keyword afterwards. Hold on. The accent is on healing and harmony, and you may feel serene, protected, and safe from all harm today. Your greatest advantage lies in turning into what others might need for encouragement and inspiring them to move forward. Make peace today. Guard against developing a messiah complex or trying to save the world and everyone from the consequences of their own actions. The experiences they need to have in order to grow. Stepping stones of healing, harmony, accord, peace, composure, serenity, tranquility, inspiration, encouragement, facilitation, and protection. Yeah, let's go ahead and use this keyword real quick. Omnipotence. So, omnipotence is the unlimited power or ability to do things. So, again, there is this sense of egoic energy around it where it's a different there's a huge difference between the desires of the ego and the desires of the soul. Let's just run that one down real quick. The word comes from the Latin omni, which is all, and potens, which is powerful. So omnipotence literally means the all-powerful. Again, I'm seeing devoid of responsibilities or understanding that we are all universal beings and we're abiding by particular universal laws while immersed within this construct. And within the realms of space-time, again, Saturn energy is very much cause and effect. And even if we think about Saturn, I'm going to get into this in a moment. Let me see if there's anything else. Absolute omnipotence, the ability to do anything whatsoever. So again, we cannot see the effect of our wishes come to fruition in the material realm if we do not apply ourselves accordingly. It really is as simple as this. Logical omnipotence is the ability to do anything that is logically possible. For example, creating a square circle is considered a contradiction rather than a limitation of power. Saturn seated in Aries during these next 2 years is essentially requiring for us to be courageous. It requires for us to take courageous, bold action to align ourselves with what it is that we desire in the physical realm. And so this is where we're forging a particular path in our life, and we have to ask ourselves, can I do this? Can I trust myself as I do this? Can I take responsibility for the life that I'm trying to build? And what is actually necessary in order for me to build the life that I desire? This is really what it is, because it's literally building something from the ground up. Again, it is the architect that is building this cathedral. He has this higher vision. Another thing worth mentioning real quick is that we have a T-square between Saturn, the sun, and the moon during this lunation. And so that's going to essentially build up this tension that we're going to be feeling within ourselves or a particular area of our life. I keep hearing a void energy, and it's interesting because we have black hole here at the base. So it could be something that you feel like there's been an immense amount of energy that you've been focusing on. I'm even seeing like ruminating on, but it's essentially a situation in your life that may require some type of action or perhaps adjustment. I'm also seeing like a readjustment process that need to take place. And Saturn becomes almost the vocal point where there's a lesson unfolding. I'm seeing through us. It could be a pressure point. There could be some type of action that you're having to take in order to actually mature, to see our timeline mature. It requires for us to apply ourselves so that it can begin to evolve into something beyond what it is that we've been experiencing. Saturn as a whole is all about maturation. And so I see Saturn kind of invoking us to confront and, just gently and kind of curiously explore I'm seeing with a level of depth, what is required from us in order to achieve some type of objective? Where do we maybe need to be more disciplined in a particular area of our life? Where do we need to kind of become our own authority figure? Because this is an access point of our inner world and outer world. We're talking about our private life versus our public life. It's about our emotional landscape versus our outward ambitions. Many of us are going to be reflecting around whether those two worlds are working together, how well they're kind of meshing together. Are the things that we're doing outwardly in the world things that also simultaneously bring us deep emotion and fulfillment? And again, the lights are off. So anything that's been kind of hidden in the dark when it comes to this, we're going to see unfold, especially if there's been any illusions, because I think we also have, let me see, the sun and the moon aren't just squaring Saturn. We also have a tighter square with Neptune. And unlike Saturn, which creates structure, Neptune actually dissolves that structure, right? If we think about Neptune energy, Saturn is asking us to kind of build the plan in this area of our life, but then Neptune is kind of saying, surrender to the illusion of the dream or physical reality. And so naturally, there could be this tremendous amount of energy between what is real, what we are actually sustaining or can sustain, and maybe what it is that we've just been over idealizing when it comes to this thing that we're attempting to build from the ground up. When we talk about Neptune and astrology, Neptune often acts as this magnifying glass. And so from far away, things can kind of seem distorted. So that could be the illusions that we've been creating or the idealized areas of our life where there's been this deep fantasy, but there's been no real practical application to actually ground that dream into part of our reality. And so Neptune is going to really be showing us, all right, this can be practical Saturn, but it can also be creative. I can also take divine, creative, inspired insights and utilize that as a force of creation. So how can I blend the two worlds together more cohesively? How can I embrace my human nature, but also my divine nature, and what is required from me participating in the third dimensional experience in order to honor this higher vision or this higher calling that I have? And so I feel like that is going to be the gentle confrontation, and really it's a deep initiation and invitation into meeting ourselves more deeply, into aligning ourselves and our lives in the physical material plane, so that it's infused with spirit, so that it's infused with your soul's essence, right? Can we build something meaningful through our very experiential participation without becoming so attached to the external illusion? This is what it is. How can we move through the dream or physical reality without becoming lost in it? But how can we also master the dream? How can we become the architect of our own dream? Because we're not just living inside of this dream, we are also living inside of the mind of source. And so it is an infinite realm. In many ways, it is an omnipresent, omniscience, and omnipotence realm. Yet there are also Saturn limitations. I'm hearing that a subject and universal laws that we're all abiding by. And one of those are cause and effect. So we're going to be very much reminded of this, right? How are we actually applying ourselves? How are we anchoring this future vision that we have into the present moment? And what are the incremental steps that we take? What is the energy that's being invested that we will see culminate into the effect of our life experiences? Because our life experience is literally the journey of our choices. We will experience the decisions that we make and the decisions that we didn't make, and how those decisions unfold into different continuums. And each one of those continuums have different destiny points. And so it very much is saying, well, destiny is not just something that's handed to you. Destiny is something that we create inside of the illusion. So that is what I feel this Capricorn full moon is going to be. That's the place that, growth is really going to occur, because we're able to nurture our own emotional longing, our own soul's desires, while moving towards these long-term goals in a practical, applicable way. So that's what it is the merging between two worlds, between the mother archetype and the father archetype. That's what it is, the masculine and the feminine embodiment. So, and they're both cardinal aspects, right? So it is about the leadership qualities, how we're leading ourselves through this existence. Yeah, so how are dreams actually built into a reality? That's what this is. And this is a dreams coming true energy. So what may be illuminated is the next steps, I'm hearing, in order to progress forward in this direction. What are the next applicable ways that you can ground this into part of your everyday lived experience? I'm hearing a dream will remain just a dream if we don't apply ourselves to anchor it into part of our everyday lived experience. A dream can be something that we continue to idealize until we elevate ourselves to the height of that vision. Instead of just aspiring and putting it on a pedestal, we'll keep chasing it and it will keep running because we're not a resonant match. We must begin to say, okay, what are the practical steps that I can take and the small milestones that we'll be able to hit before we reach and execute that long-term vision. So you have DNA. DNA could be demonstratable gifts. I'm hearing you may be remembering what to do with that as well. This is also ancestral. If you think about Cancerian energy is very much to do with ancestral roots. So there could be something that you could feel is being brought into your awareness. I'm going to go ahead and read this card. It's a very interesting one to show up, but also not so much, because we are talking about the roots of your being. We're talking about what's been passed throughout generations. It connects us with the hereditary information and in turn the transmission of this information. There are ancestral patterns traveling through the quantum field towards us to reveal something or someone from our own lineage. This can show itself in a positive way, such as the ability to channel hidden gifts and talents in the family, or those who have not been able to be shown before, as well as the repetition of patterns that must be healed as they travel towards us to come to light. Connect with your inner self by taking 3 deep breaths, and then you'll feel the information that needs to be healed or shown come from the heart. If it is something which makes you feel bad, cutting the pattern is the way to heal and transform it. If you feel energy that comes with demonstrable gifts, enjoy the qualities that are being given to you to bring forward the wisdom of your lineage. This is cellular memory that consists of the information which has been stored in our bodies. All the life experiences, whether we remember them or not, leave a record in our cellular memory. This is how the body stores experiences that we've not lived, and it also connects us with the information we have received from our ancestors. It is a third eye portal. That's what it talks about. And you may want to work with amethyst, is what the oracle suggests in this case. Okay, so you may want to work with amethyst. That could be clarification for you. It could be something that you want to be able to work with. It could be something that you want to be able to connect with. So that is a healing crystal, which is all about integration. It says, place the stone in between your energy centers, which is obviously your third eye activation. You may want to also place it in water in a glass bottle. So it feels like some type of integration process that is happening here for you for sure. Something is going to be illuminated there. Let's go and take a look at a gateway of the light activation, and then I'm going to close out. For me, you have Gaia gateway activation. So earth intelligence, wisdom transmission, and learning experiences. This is definitely the memory of the earth, right? So you are tuning into the infinite potential timelines that are essentially available for you and are just asking for you to apply themselves, right? These are destinations that you have already experienced, that you have already lived out, and you get to decide which one you want to be able to participate within. The beautiful thing about the boundary that Saturn offers us, which is the boundary of time, the boundary between you and everything else, is that this experience becomes very interactive. We get to experience the journey of our own choices. There is a journey in higher dimensions. There is no journey that we get to experience. There is no boundary or time that we get to play in. And so if we can learn how to move through the system and utilize the laws of time by remembering that we transcend and originate from a system where this is really non-existent, is just a human construct, then I'm hearing it's something that we don't have to rush. It kind of reminds me of an experiment in school when I was a child, where we planted these seeds inside of these plant pots. One of them was inside of the closet and the other one was by the windowsill. And so the one in the closet would only get inklings of sunlight in the morning when the sun would rise, and it would moved through the window. And that one grew about 3 times faster than the one that was on the windowsill. And the message that I'm getting from that is we can rapidly see something unfold in our life experience, but often what comes quickly, we can lose very quickly as well. And I'm seeing it as a root chakra type of energy because we have not been built into the version that is going to be capable of being able to sustain it. It will collapse under the roots of its own compromised foundation. And so there is so much beauty in being able to grow into the version of self that is going to be capable of sustaining this thing. It will hold that essence of being indestructible because you yourself are that force in which it's flown from. And I'm hearing it's not flowing from this hollow void, but instead it's this light infused and filled, extremely intentional act of creation that is simply an extension and an expression of you. And so it's not growing from self-doubt. It's not growing outward towards anything, but instead this thing is growing from the roots. The branches are an expression of those roots. And it will mirror how it interacts with the physical world. Your relationship to this thing is a direct, okay, this is the download that's coming through. Your relationship to this thing is a direct mirror into the relationship that you have with yourself. The plant that was inside of the cupboard and its relationship to its source was something that it felt separate from, and it wasn't focused on the sustained maturation of its growth. And I'm seeing this is what happens when the flesh leads the soul compared to when the soul leads the flesh. The plant by the windowsill, remember that it always would have enough, that it would be sustained on its journey. And nature was not in a rush, and so everything was naturally accomplished. Why do we rush to places? Trees do not announce their growth, and silence becomes its own transmission. Why do we feel like we have to achieve some type of objective in the external material plane? What do we have to show for it? Whom are we showing it to? Whom are we showing our prize off to? Because it's not just about race day, but it's about the preparation and everything that led us to this point. That is a natural reflection of all the work that took place behind the scenes. We see the end product. We always see the end product produced. We're always seeing the end product. That we lose connection to the refinement process that's necessary in order to see that to come to pass. And so it feels like this Capricorn full moon is calling us all to reflect on that refinement process, where our internal state of being isn't defined on the external outcome. It's not about who reaches the sun first, but it's that the sun shines regardless. Shines light on shadows, it shines light on everything in existence. Very interesting. Let me go ahead and get one more message from my Mexico. Oh, someone asked where I got this deck from. I don't know if you can get it online. I have no clue what the shop was called. It was literally in a village in San Cristobal. So I don't know if you can get it online. You may want to kind of look up the pictures. Anyway, does being alone nourish me? So there could be something that you're going to be reflecting on in solitude. Does it nourish me? It's interesting because it looks like the trees have eyes. Then you have who embellishes my garden. There could be something around your inner world, what it is that you're going to be reflecting on within your inner world. Finding beauty in the realms of your inner world. At the base, we have, where did you find beauty today? I'm seeing it as, where did you find beauty within yourself? If I told you to name 5 things that you love, how many would you name off the list before you mentioned yourself? You're gonna love a newbie right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. We'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. If you made it to this point, comment down below the full moon emoji. Okay, something to do with the full moon, something to do with goat energy, the mountains, anything that feels in alignment with you. What's your expression of the Capricorn full moon? And yes, also check out 𝓪𝓭 Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. $1 of the proceeds are donated towards 𝓪𝓭 Sanctuary, so you have 2 discount codes for that in the description box down below. I have rose quartz, sunstone, and rhodonite on today. And until next time, my love. Bye.
Clouds in the sky don't care if I stay all day. Dreaming of time when you and I were there.